I want to talk to you a little bit about comfort eating. As a child of the 70s, I was brought up in a world where if things go wrong, you get fed nice food to make it better. Lollipops when you go to the dentist, sweeties when you go to the doctor's, cake when you go and see your granny, you have a fall over, you get a biscuit. You know, whatever it is. Food makes life better. Or at least that's what I was raised to believe. And then as I got older, what I found was that I took that and ran with it. And every time things went wrong in my life, I would turn to food. I'd had a bad day at work, I would come home, I would bake nice food and then eat it. My kids were ill, I would make them food to make them feel better. If I was having a stressy night, I would sit and just pick at food all night. And what this meant was that over the years my weight just went up and up and up, and it got to the point where I was a size 24 in a frock. But the truth is, comfort eating didn't really make me feel better, because actually I would feel better in the short term when I was eating the food, but then afterwards I would look in the mirror and see myself and I would feel awful. I would feel so disappointed in myself. I would cry and ask myself, why am I so weak? Why can't I just not do this? Everything changed for me back about 5 years ago. And I actually stopped trying to diet, and I stopped trying to cut out all these foods, which were the foods of my youth, which I actually really love. I mean, I still to this day love cake, guys. I really, really do. I stopped trying to get quick fixes, and I started trying to look at why and to look at how I could change. So I have lost over 30 kilograms, and I have kept it off for 5 years. I got my life back. In fact, I didn't just get my life back, I got a whole new life, a changed life, a fabulous life. I am literally living my best life now. And you know what's even better? I still eat cake. Wanna know more? Stay tuned. 5 things that I did that shifted everything for me, and they might just help you too. Number 1, I stopped chasing fat loss. I actually stopped worrying about being slim. Yeah, which sounds ridiculous. What I used to try and do was lose the weight, and I wanted to lose as much weight as I could as quickly as possible. And I would sometimes lose a little bit of weight, but as soon as I stopped trying to lose weight, I would pile on all the weight that I'd lost, usually plus a bit. I also used to be constantly starting fresh. Every Monday was a fresh start, having fallen off the wagon on the weekend. 5 years ago, I decided rather than wanting to get slim, I wanted to get healthy. I changed my why. I started doing it for my health. I had arthritis, I was in pain, I was struggling to walk. So rather than chasing a slim body, I was chasing feeling better. And chasing that why, or going for a different reason, really seemed to help me focus. I also stopped just focusing everything on the scales, and over time I've learned that the scales are a fickle friend, especially when you're a hormonal woman with fluid retention and bloating and stuff like that, and a bit of IBS. Scales are not reliable. So I started noticing other things like my energy levels, my sleep, how my clothes fitted, how I felt about myself. I also ditched all these random deprivation things, whether it was skipping meals, replacing meals with shakes, cutting out certain things, not eating for extended periods of time, the whole fasting thing. I stopped doing all that stuff and I started just eating food. And I also started to try and get habits in my life, things that I could do even when life wasn't straightforward. You know, like standing up and dancing to one song in my lunch break. Still something I do now. I also started to think about what I could do long term. So not just can I stick at this for Monday to Friday or for 3 weeks, but can I do this or see myself doing this for the rest of my life? I gave myself permission to take the scenic route. And that was how I got to where I am today. Instead of trying to get here in a straight line, I got here like that. And it worked. Number two was all about getting a system, not just a meal plan, getting a full-on system. Willpower and me, we are not friends, okay? I've always said, right to this day, I can resist anything but temptation, and I still maintain that to be true. Having a set routine, having habits, that's what saved me. My comfort eating didn't stop, but it slowed down and it reduced because I had a process, not just that I won't do this. If you say to yourself, I won't do this or I can't do this, you want to do it all the more. My system involved planning meals, planning snacks, planning treats. I also had like go-to things that I really liked in the fridge that weren't gonna stitch me up in terms of my long-term goals. I created a rhythm to my day, you know, getting up, moving, doing little bits here, doing little bits there, making sure I had set meal times, making sure I had a set snack time, so that sometimes when I was like, oh, I just want to eat cake, I'd think, well, no, I'm not going to eat cake now because I know I've got this snack planned at this point in time and it's only half an hour away or it's only an hour away. I've had to stop winging it. I am a big sail by the seat of your pants kind of a girl, and that doesn't work for me. Planning, routine and structure, that is what works for me. Once I had a lifestyle, a process, a plan, and believe you me, over the last 5 years that plan's changed. It's not stayed the same. I don't now, and what I expect from myself and what I do on a day-to-day basis doesn't look the same now as what it did 5 years ago. It changes, it evolves over time, but what I do still do is have a plan. Once I had a structure, and that structure involved meals and stuff, it became part of my day-to-day rather than, oh, I feel hungry, what shall I have? Or, oh, somebody's annoyed me, what shall I eat? The third thing I did, which was the hugest, biggest thing, is started working on my mindset. Many diets out there give you a thing and say, eat this, and yeah, okay, we know what we should eat, but do we? No, and that's because of this old friend here, the brain. Emotional eating is not usually because we're hungry, it's because we're emotional. And actually, the only way we can get past that is to start facing some feelings. I used to eat my feelings. I'd be angry with somebody else, and instead of actually showing them that angry or having an assertive conversation with them saying, this has made me feel like this, I would swallow all of that, what I needed to be honest with them about, down with cake or biscuits or a hot chocolate or whatever. So when I felt myself turning to food, I started doing things like stopping for a minute and going, okay, so what's the feeling that's underpinning this? I started journaling and writing that stuff down. And it started to flag up little things in my brain, which I'm not going to get into now, where I would like, I never realised that I used to eat when I was angry with other people because I wanted to avoid the conflict of having that conversation with them. So I would literally swallow my anger. So I worked on my mindset and I started to try and change the thought process that went in my head, or at least not change them at first, just recognise the thought processes that went on in my head. And the next thing I started to do, because I would still have those thoughts and sometimes I would still go off and like reach for the cake or reach for the biscuits or whatever, but I started to look at and treat myself better when I did do that. I learned to eat without guilt. So I used to be a swine for the secret eating, guys. You know, like you wait until everybody's gone to bed, or you wait till everybody's gone out, and then you can like make an entire cake, clean it up and eat it. Nobody need ever know you've done it. That was me. I also had so many rules and restrictions. If I'm on a diet, I can't do this, and if I'm on a diet, I can't do that, and if I'm on a diet, we don't do this. And actually, I just gave myself permission to enjoy food. I love food. I love baking. I love cooking. I really enjoy food. So I gave myself permission just to be somebody that enjoys food. And I stopped calling food good and bad. Food's just food. And when I did slip up and turn to the cake, instead of getting into this whole cycle of, oh, I'm so weak, I'm hopeless, I'm rubbish, I just said, you know what? What's done is done. Did I enjoy the cake? Yes, I did. Am I going to eat a load more cake right now? No, I'm not, because I feel better for eating that bit. And that's it. Line drawn, move on. I finally got to grips with the fact that a one-off, oopsie, doesn't mean I have to throw away the baby with the bathwater for the entire weekend, or for the entire week, or for the entire month, or I've slipped up at the first week of December, so I might as well just not start now until the beginning of January, because that was me. Sometimes, guys, we've just got to enjoy the food. My friend opened a cafe the other day, and I went to that cafe, and I had a freak shake. She makes the most amazing freak shakes. It was filled with ice cream and Lotus Biscoff sauce, yeah? And I finished it off as well with a scone, with jam and butter, because we were celebrating her opening a new cafe. And that's all right. You need to have permission to live a life and to do things like that. One-off, little things like that don't matter. Certainly not worth beating yourself up about. Once I started to eat without guilt, once I started to work on my mindset, once I had an actual system rather than just a weight loss plan, and once I was doing it for the right reasons, not just to get skinny, life changed hugely for me. Hugely. I dropped all my weight, I got down to a size 10, and I just felt so much better. I started celebrating small wins. I started speaking up for myself. I started talking about it instead of eating feelings. I started to actually just like myself for who I was. And then I liked myself even more with who I became. So honestly, stop thinking about being skinny. Stop chasing a body. Think about how you want to live. What sort of life do you want to have? And why? And get that powerful why. You can do it too. Because if I can, because I still love food, I still sometimes turn to food in terms of stress or celebration, I would still consider myself to be an emotional comfort eater at times. But I'm also sat 6+ stone lighter than I was, and I have been for 5 years. And I love my life. So it is possible. If you want to find out more, guys, then check out the Facebook group. Come along, join, totally free. Live chats on there most mornings where you can get some hints and tips and stuff. Really, really good stuff. I hope to see you in there. Enjoy the rest of your day. See you later.